Hey Eagle fans, it's EaglefanKarl. This is going to be my preview and prediction video for Sunday afternoon's game against the Indianapolis Colts. And I know everyone's real excited. This is going to be the return of Carson Wentz. You can see I've got my Pennsylvania shirt on. I'm certainly excited to see number 11 come back. He's been a player that we all really enjoyed seeing how he progressed last year, and we're anxious to see him get back out on the field this year after the injury. Hopefully he can lead us to a Super Bowl and get a ring for himself. But when it comes to this game, I just don't know where exactly he's going to be in terms of coming back as a player. I'm sure if they're bringing him back, he's 100% healthy. My real question is just how much rust he's going to have in terms of his game. Is he going to be too fired up and throwing over balls and all that kind of stuff? That's the real question in this game that I don't think anyone really knows exactly how he's going to react to this thing. So really when it comes down to it, I think for purposes of this game, I think we're better off in terms of trying to figure out who's going to win it, looking at the other side of the ball, really, to sort of figure out who we think is going to win this game. Because I think the defense is ultimately where we've won a lot of our games, certainly where we won a lot of our games after Wentz went down. And even last year, I think they were really instrumental in the run that we did go on. So I want to start by looking at the other side of the ball in the defense before we really think about maybe what Wentz could do in this game. And as far as this season is concerned, it's way too early in the season to be talking about trends and how many points and yards and all that kind of stuff people are into. You're only 2 games into the season, so it's too small of a sample size to really get anything. I don't really start that until after you get through the first quarter of the season. And even if you look back at last year with the Colts, it's difficult to say anything because Andrew Luck, of course, was out all last year. So he's only had 2 games back since he's been back in the league. And so it's really sort of hard to get any sort of read on exactly what kind of a team they're going to be now that Luck is back in the lineup. What we can do, though, is really look at the Eagles defense and what they've done. And if you go back to last season and the first part of this season, if you look at the defense at home versus the road, it's really 2 different teams. When we're playing at the Link, this defense is a lot better than when it goes out on the road. And I think we even saw that in the first 2 weeks of this season, how differently it played on the road versus at home. Interesting fact in terms of the Eagles defense, if you go back to the start of last season, so you look through all of last season with the regular season and the 2 playoff games at home, and then of course the 1 home game this year, we're averaging 12.3 points a game that the defense is giving up. That is incredibly low when you really think about it. And that's just a testament to how well this defense does play at home. But it gets even better when you really look inside the numbers, which is scary because except for 2 division games, which division games are always different, teams know each other a little bit better and all that kind of stuff. Aside from the 2 division games, there's only 1 time where the Eagles gave up more than 20 points, and that was that blowout win against the Broncos where the defense is just sort of trying to play out the string and let the clock run, so they don't care if you're moving the ball as much. So I really don't count that as it counts in the average in terms of the 12.3 I gave you. But it really doesn't average, you really can't count that as a game where a team scored more than 20 points because the defense really wasn't trying to hold them down in terms of scoring like they would in other games, just because the Eagles had so many points that they had scored on offense in that game. So really that's sort of scary when you think about it, that other than division games and a blowout, this team has not allowed more than 20 points going back to the beginning of last season. That's 11 games over that stretch, 10 from last year and 1 this year. So really an impressive streak that the Eagles are playing at home on defense and how well they play at the Link. Now, as far as the offense is concerned, I'm actually a fan of the move that they made, bringing in Jordan Matthews. I know there's a lot of Eagles fans out there that don't like it. I think it's a relatively low-risk move. You didn't have to give anything up. You just had to sign them off free agency. And at this point, when you're looking at free agents who are available, who else are you going to get at this point? I know there's a lot of Eagle fans out there that wanted Dez Bryant. I already said I didn't want any parts of him. And generally, just guys that are available at this time of the year, they're either going to be old washed-up guys like Dez Bryant or sort of guys that are journeyman wide receivers that have bounced around the league quite a bit, like Jordan Matthews. The one advantage you have with Jordan Matthews, and really sort of it's one in two, is that he has played with us before. So that means two things. It means, number one, he knows the system, so it's not gonna take him a couple weeks to get up and learn the system. And when you've got all the injuries we've had to the wide receiving core, that's important. We need someone who can come in and really contribute right away. But also the fact that the second part of that is, he has a chemistry with Carson Wentz. Going back to Carson's rookie year, the two of them really were on the same page from day one. So I really think that could be another good thing with Wentz coming back from the injury. You're bringing back sort of an old security blanket of his, so I think he and Jordan will be able to hook up. And, you know, I'm not expecting Jordan Matthews to go for 100 yards and 6 catches and a touchdown. I'm not expecting anything like that. But if he can get a couple first down receptions on a third down, getting a reception that would get you a first down, I think that's what you're looking for him to do. He's going to be sort of a possession receiver. And if we can have him do that and get a couple first downs for us tomorrow, I think that's all we can really ask, and I think that's great. And there's no one else, I don't think, that was available that was going to be able to come in and do that immediately, which is really what they needed, given how banged up our receivers are right now. So, of course, the Colts did win last week when they were playing in Washington, and this is going to be their second game on the road against a non-conference opponent, both times as underdogs. Do you really expect them to go on the road and win a second time in a row? As an underdog? I really don't see that happening. I think the Eagles are going to win this game relatively easily, which is a great thing for Wentz, because I really think, getting sort of an easier opponent in front of him to shake any rust off, so if he isn't exactly at his sharpest, it shouldn't really affect the ultimate outcome of the game. I think that will be where we're at. I think the defense will do a good enough job holding this team down that we'll be able to keep them under wraps. And the offense, I think, will make enough plays that we'll be able to move the ball and score to be able to win this thing. For that reason, my prediction is going to be the Eagles are going to win this game 28-16. That's my prediction. Let me know what you think. Leave in the comments below what you think the score is going to be. Let me know if there is another wide receiver that I'm not thinking about that you think that they should have brought in. Don't say Josh Gordon, because we didn't have a chance at that, because that was something that the Browns were going to have to trade for. And frankly, he's one bad decision away from getting a ban on the league. So I don't know that he was even worth the risk. But aside from that, let me know if there's any other wide receivers you think the Eagles should have brought in. Leave your comments below. Of course, I'll check in after the game and let you know what I think. Until then, fly Eagles fly.